All right. We're live. What's up, guys? Good to see y'all here. We've got a couple people viewing already, many people in the chat. The dude, orale vatos. But madimming. Excellent. Human says, make me a channel of your peace. Where there's despair in life, let me bring hope. Where there's darkness, only light. And where there's sadness, ever joy. Opening up the chat with a bit of a prayer. Poppy Davis, I'll be back. But we are here. Witty Moniker says, going to Costco. Wish me luck, guys. Good luck. I was at the store today. I got there nice and early and stood in line for maybe 20 minutes or so before they opened the doors of the store. But I got the few things I need or needed. I don't know. Again, the competing emotions of, not wanting to believe the hype around this and also wanting to absolutely understand and comprehend the seriousness of the situation. And to let people know that, it is a serious situation for sure. But there's a part of me that's just like, nah, and I don't know whether to believe that part or not. George H, hello. I'm doing well. I'm doing okay. Yeah, we've got supplies for a couple of weeks, so I got my computer and my music instruments, so I'm gonna do a lot of live streams and make music. That's what's happening. Oz LaFave says, hi, Kevin, did you vote yet? Oh, sorry, never mind. Happy St. Pat's. Thanks for the super chat, George H. I really appreciate you. So, yes, welcome to Black Bear News. Please remember to like the video and to make sure that you are still subscribed. You can also support me at PayPal, Venmo, Patreon, and, super chat, of course. So, yes, let's talk about voting. I was talking about Ohio yesterday. The governor, considering canceling the Ohio primary vote. Well, guess what? They canceled it. The judge, tried to block it. And what happened was Ohio's governor announced Monday night that his health director would order an emergency shutdown of the polls because of the coronavirus pandemic. Good for him. He was like, F you guys, like, screw this. I'm not going to do this. And he found a way to make it happen. So I guess they're shutting it down. Ohio Secretary of State Frank LaRose, also a Republican, I guess the governor is a Republican, Governor Mike DeWine, will return to court in an effort to extend voting options so that every voter who wants to vote will be granted that opportunity. DeWine's statement, coming less than 9 hours before polls were scheduled to open, came after Judge Richard Fry of the Franklin County Court of Common Pleas rejected the state's arguments for postponement. He cited early voting options, the money and time spent by candidates and volunteers, and a lack of evidence that the health crisis will be less serious later. But of course, everyone else take this very seriously. All right. If that isn't a mixed message, I don't know what is. 3 other states are voting: Florida, Illinois, and Arizona. 2 other states, Louisiana and Georgia, had already postponed primaries originally scheduled over the next few weeks. Kentucky took steps Monday to move its May 19th primary to June 23rd. Lawmakers in Puerto Rico were passing legislation to push its March 29 primary to the end of April. I mean, that just makes sense. It's not, look, if we're taking like a super kind of level-headed, rational look at this. And, obviously things are weird and crazy and bleak right now. But if we look at what, the timeline is of kind of getting on the other side of this, if there is another side of this, in say about a month and probably more like 6 weeks, things will start to kind of, return to normal. And it may even be sooner than that, depending on how many cases we develop over the next couple of weeks, because everything's shut down for the next 2 weeks. So if two weeks of shutdown creates a situation where, the case numbers and the death toll, falls dramatically, well then, within 2 or 3 weeks, we could have people going, all right, okay, that's everything's everything, and we can get back to it. So, this isn't the canceling of like the major presidential election in November. This is, moving the primaries out like a month or two. The convention is in July. I don't see, it just is logical, to move the primaries back a little bit. And just for the next couple of weeks, maybe postpone all the primaries that are happening, in March, possibly early April. I don't know. So an interesting development. We'll see what happens with that. The other 3 states are voting today. Who knows what kind of impact that was going to have on the polls. But this is a very interesting story. Did anybody see the footage of the Arizona elections official who was talking about the Arizona's voting today? He was talking about people going out to vote today, and this was like 2 days ago, I think. And he was very nervous and very agitated, and he walked off the stage and said, "I can't do this." It's a pretty crazy video. If you guys want to search that out, I'll find a link for it. It's on YouTube. You can find it. Just search, Arizona official, "I can't do this anymore," or something like that. I'll find a link and I'll post it. So this from Nico House, if anybody is familiar with the channel Mikasa Sukaso Nico House, somebody filmed a video on an Illinois TV station. This is from yesterday, from Monday, where they announced that Joe Biden was the winner of the Illinois primary on TV. And they also announced that Donald Trump had won the primary. Very interesting. So, there are many people who think this entire primary is rigged on some level. And if you remember back in 2016, right before the California primary, a news station ran a little, bumper saying that Hillary Clinton had won the California primary. And they're like, "Hey, what is this? Why are you guys, is this already decided?" Was, kind of the feeling around it. So they ran this little clip saying that Joe Biden was the winner of the Illinois primary and that Donald Trump had won the primary. Are they telling you, in advance, this is what the results are going to be, because they've already decided what the results are going to be? You be the judge. Anyways, I'm going to link this Nico House video. It's very eye-opening. Nico House is doing a lot of great work. I really enjoy his channel, and he's he doesn't get the kudos for being outside of even a lot of the progressive lanes. He's kind of uncovering a lot of things that other progressive channels aren't hip to yet. So I really like his take on a lot of stuff. I like the fact that he's kind of willing to go even a little bit farther out to try and find information and evidence of malfeasance, in our electoral process and, political process, etc. But yeah, more wild times while we're here, while we're in it. And, I just wanted to say too, I think, I'm I'm actually experiencing the universe having a little joke at my expense, I think, if I want to take all of this personally. Because for the last few months, I've been kind of like downplaying the idea that maybe collapse would happen in 2020, or maybe just, being a little skeptical about the timeline. So lately I've been I've had this stance of like, okay, maybe the collapse happens, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. And here we are with some kind of collapse scenario, impending doom on our doorstep. I've been saying lately, who knows when the end comes? I've been skeptical that the timeline would be this year. Maybe a bit of a cosmic joke that the universe decides to just speed everything up at this moment. I also was fairly confident that I could see something coming and take avoidant action. I didn't even see how quickly this got on us. I still think the system is rather resilient, but this is definitely a good time to prepare for the end of our former paradigm. Whether we are entering an age of rapid contraction, not just of our economy, but of the human species, or we are experiencing a mighty glitch in the matrix. This is the start of a mighty upheaval. I'll use the word mighty twice because I like it. Mighty, mighty. Upheaval that will change everything for everybody. Prepare as best you can when it's already too late. This is the time for community and clear vision. So yes, prepare. As always, prepare for the worst and hope for the best. We've got at least a couple of months we know of a bumpy ride, and depending on how the economic situation plays out, it could be a very rough year for a lot of people. So, with all that in mind, do your best, prep how you can, when you can. Now is a really great time to start a garden. It's spring. We've had a warm winter on the East Coast. So people who are experiencing a little warmer weather, I'd say, right now is a good time to go for it and start putting crops in the ground. Start setting up those solar panels if you're going to do that. Start getting your rain barrels. Start preparing yourself for resilience in the face of what could be, a difficult situation for a lot of people. With all that being said, I, took a little drive this morning out to the airport, and it was interesting kind of not being plugged into the news for a couple hours and just driving around. Everybody's like kind of out doing stuff, and everything seems, fairly normal on some level. A lot of stores are open. People are, maintenance workers are out doing their thing. There's a lot of normalcy out there. If you unplug for just a moment from the news stream, the constant news stream, which, here I am giving you some constant news stream, unplug from that for a moment, and you can kind of take a little bit of a psychic breath. And I think it's a good thing to do. It's good for you. Because there are several realities going on at one time, and the reality is just, being a human being on this planet and just experiencing life, in the outdoors or out of your house or out of your situation. And then there's, the experience of being a human being that's plugged in constantly to this information stream, this information, glut. And that can have a very taxing effect on your entire person, on your mental state, on your physical state. I encourage people to take a break. We're going to go out for a hike today and go up in the mountains because it's kind of what we always do. It's free, it's easy, and there's, not a lot of other places to go, and not a lot of other places I'd rather go. Henry Holt says it's not normal in Italy. No, certainly not. Certainly not. But I'm sure that people in Italy, even though they're on lockdown and they're experiencing a lot of turmoil and upheaval, there are people, living life. Right? There's people singing from balconies. There's people finding some normalcy in the situation and some kind of joy in the situation, which I encourage people to do because it's very possible that we might enter into a time when there's a lot less joy to be had and a lot less joy to experience. So experience it now, while you can. So let me go through some of the comments, and thank you guys for being here. Echoes of Not, John Lundqvist, Trish Kaiser. Trish Kaiser says Vox reporting social distancing will need to be done for at least a year. Yeah, so as I said in my original preamble or opening little thing, life is not going to go back to, how it was a month ago. Probably not for a long time, and probably not ever. CB Unglesby, hello. Manford Marth, live streaming music would be nice. Yes, I'm going to be getting into some of that shortly. Prudhomme says it must be bad if a Republican Treasury Secretary is planning to give out what amounts to UBI. Yes, I saw that actually Mike Pence suggested UBI. That's actually a good sign. I mean, if people like that, Mitt Romney, suggested UBI. If people like that are suggesting UBI, it's a good sign that it might be happening. And I really hope it happens, because I think that's necessary right now. They need to inject money into people's hands to keep the economy going, right? To keep things going, to keep people alive, to keep people fed, to keep people, just continuing to function on some level. John Lundqvist says new info from Arctic News. Now we are 2C over the baseline. Yes, I just read that article yesterday. Prudhomme says arrest the judge using emergency powers. That's what old Abe Lincoln would have done. Henry Holt, don't get cabin fever, plant a garden. Here. I concur wholeheartedly. Yeah, it's a good time. It's a really good time to plant a garden. If you're in the northern hemisphere, we're getting on spring. And if things do stay ugly for a while, plant a garden. In a couple months, you're going to have some food. Kuro, what's up? William Moy, excuse me. I think I was trying to say ahoy and Moy at the same time. Henry Holt says, look at the evidence from Italy. Disturbing. You know who else? Kim Iverson just did a really interesting video about where the coronavirus is striking the worst. And it seems to be in a temperature zone, right? She had a temperature map from this time last year. And the coronavirus seems to be doing, seems to be taking hold in this particular temperature zone across the northern hemisphere. And it was an interesting video. It actually had, I believe it made some logical points. It was logical. It was scientific, in its presentation. So in this one particular temperate zone, coronavirus seems to be doing very well for itself, as in replicating itself. Whereas in other temperatures, it's not doing as much. So she said there might actually be some truth and some logic to that. When it gets warmer, it'll start to die out. Michael Aran, hello. Slap Happy 813. Slap Happy says, why the overreaction to everything the media seems to be doing, constantly fear tactics for a controlled shutdown of our already failing economy? This was happening before Corona. Indeed, a lot of people are suggesting that there are many forces at play right now, and that this is a convenient excuse to kind of lever some other things into operation. Slap Happy also says Joe Biden will not beat Trump. It's just smoke and mirrors for one more of Trump, the dictator. Well, here's something very frightening to understand. Trump, they're having primaries, right? And Trump, not all the states are having primaries because Trump is an incumbent and it's not even really necessary to have a primary. Nobody's really primarying him. One person is, but they don't seem to have a lot of. They don't have much of a chance, is what I'm trying to say. But Trump is getting an enormous amount of votes as an incumbent in the primaries. He's getting a record-setting amount of votes in the primaries in every single state, including California. Anybody who says that Trump is weak or looks weak or is going to go down because of everything that's happening, think again. Trump is incredibly popular, especially to Republicans, especially to his base. And, his vote totals in the primaries are absolutely staggering. Not only his vote totals, but his fundraising is absolutely staggering. He's raising more money than all the Democrats have combined in these primaries. And the Republican Party has like an incredibly huge war chest. So it doesn't look good for the Democrats in this election. I mean, it's going to take something pretty insane to knock Trump out. And this might be the thing that's, the insane thing that knocks Trump out. We can only hope. Rolf Jander says, I don't think voting would be that risky. Just keep your distance and wash your hands after. Well, I mean, everybody standing in line at the supermarket is kind of doing that. I don't see a lot of masks, and I don't see really a huge amount of social distancing. I mean, people are just going to the supermarket, standing in line with everybody else, and they're going shopping. So I don't see how that's much different from voting. However, I think the messaging is a little bit weird. And somebody showed me a really great video of a woman who had gone to the supermarket and was standing in line, and some lady freaked out because the cashier touched his face. And she was insisting that he go wash his hands or whatever. And so he had some hand sanitizer, and he's like, here, is this good enough for you? She's like, fine, that's great. And then she proceeded to put her fingers on the touch screen, to finish her transaction. And she, this lady went outside and made a video, and she was like, okay, did anybody anybody notice the insanity of this woman getting all upset about somebody touching their face? And then she just put her fingers all over a touchpad that everybody else had touched. So there you go. Human says Nico is anti-Dem Party 2.0. Well, yeah. Anti-Dem Party is not new, always been corrupt. I don't know. I kind of don't really know what you're talking about. I'm a little bit confused by that. A lot of people are doing like scarves around their face instead of masks. I don't know how effective it is, but I think it kind of just makes people feel better. Forest Dweller says you can easily make a mask. Exactly. So, yeah. So my sister is wearing a scarf around her face. Other people are doing the same thing, kind of doing the scarf thing. I don't know if that's effective on any level. I don't know. David Lutz says aerosol masking is likely to cause some major issues if temperature jumps up 1 to 3 C in short order. Indeed. Even if it went up 1 C. I would consider that a major issue, and most likely Going to, I mean, that's kind of a 1-2 punch. If the economy is reeling and people are out of work and everything is all over the place and we're having some kind of, industrial societal collapse, and then you have, the temperature spiking and causing all kinds of extreme weather events, including, major heat waves all over the planet. Imagine the fun that will be. So again, prepare yourselves well, and also enjoy yourselves right now, because, the system is still functioning on some level right now. Let me see. Sandy says, my parents, we voted and went to Goodwill. We need books. Okay. 84 and 89. So they clearly aren't worried. Supremo says, my wife is a doctor, so I am definitely getting the virus at some point. I wish my employer, the Brazilian government, would let me stay at home, but it seems like they don't give a F. Forest Dweller says, people in China... Hold on. I lost you, man. Lost your comment, Forrest. Where'd you go? Sorry, it just skipped way down on the comment thing and I lost you. Life has changed permanently as a result of this. Most likely. 90% chance that life has changed permanently. Okay, Forest Dweller says, people in Hong Kong say we're idiots not to wear masks. Sandy, you're going live at 5 Eastern. Good to know. 2 p.m. Pacific. Environmental Coffee House says Biden was so wrong about Italy and healthcare system. They are superior. What was it Biden wrong about the other night? Biden is wrong about pretty much everything. Every time he opens his mouth, he's just wrong. And, he's wrong and strong, right? Let me tell you something. I'm going to say some bullshit, and everybody's going to believe me because I'll tell them like this. Biden is Trump 2.0. Let me just say some bullshit but say it really authoritatively, and everybody will go, oh, that guy is so presidential. Because stupid. Because land of stupid. Aaron Murr says, I dig that it's freaking out the normies who are otherwise totally dismissive during normal times. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, normies don't want things to be bad, not because of any kind of like innate optimism. It's just that they can't consider the fact that things might go completely awry. I mean, I feel like at some level, like I'm at ease because I'm not afraid of the inevitability of this happening. Of something going totally wrong. Like I'm totally in acceptance of the fact that we're on limited time. So. As long as things are, somewhat calm and peaceful and normal, like I'm happy as hell. I'm overjoyed. So I'm going to enjoy the shit out of happy and calm and peaceful and normal. As long as it's still here. Sandy says people can go to the dock in Italy without worry. Exactly. So they can just show up and get help. What Italy has that we don't have. What Italy has that we don't have. Brian Smith, we are doing daily walks too. Sandy, you're ordering seeds. Good. Yep. I got a whole bunch of seeds ready to go. I'm going to get ready to do some planting, I think, this week. Human says April Fool's Day will be all year. Daryl Schumann, Schumann says we are pretty screwed. Jody Connolly, spay and neuter your kids. Ouch. Yeah, Sandy, did you see that Kim Iverson video? It's pretty interesting. I think she is onto something. It happens in a particular temperature zone where it's really bad, and she was saying this is why it missed a lot of other countries, why it hit Iran and China and certain places. She's like, they all fall in this zone everywhere is where it's really bad. Iverson, yes, Kim Iverson, Manfred Marth. So go check out that video. It's interesting. She is on to something. And if it's true, or if that has some kind of validity, then when temperatures start to get warmer, which they should be very soon, because global dimming or not, we're going to get into a warmer climate. Osama says, hello virus food. Anyway, so I'm going to move on to some other news. So this is from Sputnik News from March 16th, which is yesterday. Earth just experienced the second hottest winter ever recorded. February 2020 was the second hottest February ever recorded. I think January was the hottest January ever recorded. In the Northern Hemisphere winter months as a whole, December 2019 through February 2020 were also the second hottest in recorded history. According to a Friday report by the scientists of the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. According to the scientists, the first 2 months of 2020 also ranked as the second warmest such period in the 141-year climate history record. In February 2020, the average global land and ocean surface temperature was 2.11 degrees Fahrenheit above the 20th century average, and was the second highest in recorded history after 2016, which still holds the record, apparently. The global temperature in 2016 was the last El Nino year. The global temperature in February 2020 was the highest monthly temperature departure without an El Nino present in the tropical Pacific Ocean, the NOAA noted. The El Nino is a series of climate variations that usually result in warm water along the equatorial Pacific region. The average global land and ocean temperature in the first 2 months of 2020 was 2.09 degrees Fahrenheit above the 20th century average, the report added. Arctic sea ice coverage was 4% below the 1981-2010 average in February, while Antarctic ice coverage was 6.5% below that average. An analysis by the Ice Sheet Mass Balance Intercomparison Exercise, or IMBY, an international collaboration of polar scientists, released on March 11th, revealed that polar ice caps in Greenland and Antarctica are melting 6 times faster than they were in the 1990s. The scientists found that the rapid melting of polar ice caps could lead to an extra 17 centimeters of sea level rise by 2100. So there you go. And going back to the polling situation today, here's a tweet. Polling update. Despite CDC coronavirus warnings, primaries are being held in Florida, Arizona, and Illinois. Polling sites are understaffed. In Chicago, hundreds of election judges refused to show up. Last-minute location changes and direct contact dangers are causing confusion and chaos. How could it not? How could it not? So ridiculous. U.S. Airlines seek billions in aid as outbreak cripples travel. Over the last 24 hours, there's been a lot of talk about grounding domestic flights. That has not happened yet. But the fact that they're talking about it from Trump, everyone from Trump on down are talking about the possibility of grounding domestic flights. And that should help the global dimming situation as well. This is from yesterday. With each day that the coronavirus outbreak spreads and claims more lives, the damage to global airlines rises too. U.S. carriers on Monday put a price tag on their pain. They asked the federal government for more than $50 billion in rescue aid. It is a staggering request for an industry that chalked up tens of billions in profits over the past decade. Did they put that away anywhere? Offshore, of course, but nothing that we can see on the tax books. It would far exceed the bailout the airlines got after the terror attacks of September 2001. Airline CEOs have been making the rounds in Washington and making phone calls to lobby for assistance in the last few days. Airlines for America, the trade group representing all the leading U.S. passenger and cargo airlines, finally provided some details about what the airlines want. They are asking for $29 billion in federal grants, $25 billion for passenger airlines, $4 billion for cargo carriers. They want up to $29 billion in zero-interest loans and loan guarantees, split the same way between passenger and cargo carriers. Wow. So apparently the package would easily surpass the $5 billion in grants and up to $10 billion in loan guarantees that Congress approved after the terror attacks of September 2001. And more about the airlines. Where is it? Let's see. I saw something else about. Oh, here we go. U.S. Airlines spent 96% of free cash flow on buybacks. This is from yesterday. The biggest U.S. airlines spent 96% of free cash flow last decade on buying back their own shares. This is why they don't have any money now. American Airlines Group, Inc., which is not shown in the chart but is included in overall figures, led the pack with negative cumulative free cash flow during the decade while it repurchased more than $12.5 billion of its shares. United Airlines Holding, Inc. used 80% of its free cash flow on buybacks, while the S&P 500 index as a whole allocated about 50% for this purpose. As the industry reels under the weight of the coronavirus outbreak, corporate leaders are seeking federal assistance to ease the burden. Yeah. Good going, guys. Way to be. In more election news, Governor J.B. Pritzker of Illinois, right? We just covered the fact that, they accidentally announced Joe Biden the winner of the Illinois primary yesterday. Governor J.B. Pritzker endorses Joe Biden ahead of the Illinois Tuesday primary. Which it could tell you why they're really trying to ram Joe Biden down our throats, which is why they want this to happen right away. They don't want any delays in these votes, in these primary votes, because that gives people a little bit of time to think about it and to see Bernie Sanders more and to see Joe Biden more and to go, wait a minute, hold on. Maybe this Biden guy isn't so presidential. So, yeah. More ridiculousness abounds. Lady Ella says, was I the only one who noted it was the Ides of March yesterday? It's supposed to be a very ominous day. The Ides of March are upon us, indeed. Cornholio, one positive thing about the corona situation is that companies start to support working from home more. I think that is a positive thing, and I agree with you. And again, what does that do? That reduces traffic, burning of carbon. And reduces overall industrial activity. Sorry, guys, just checking through some of these Super chats. I think I got another super chat here. George H. Thank you so much for the super chat. Workout guy says keep it up. Oh, it is St. Patrick's Day today. Again, totally missing that one, but happy St. Patrick's Day if you guys care about that kind of thing. Ecocentric Homestead says, I should change my name to 2100. Then I would get blamed for everything. David Lutz says grounding flights soon will come as the only financial option for airlines to at least survive a bit longer. Interesting point, and that's a good one, right? So if they ground flights, they can ground their entire operation and save money because they're absolutely bleeding money right now. Being in operation but having not a lot of business. I mean, I was just at the airport today, though. There was plenty of people getting on planes, just not to the level that they're used to. Alaric Harrison says Florida is going to be a nightmare in 3 weeks. Thousands of millennial spring breakers are all over the South Florida. Along with today's primary vote, Florida will be coronavirus nightmare in 3 weeks. Possibly. Let's keep our eyes on that. Forest Dweller, if the airline shut down, the chemtrail freaks will have a fit. Interesting point. Well, so I can't verify anything about that myself or any change in chemtrails because we've had rain for the last 2 weeks. And it looks like we're going to have clouds and rain for the next at least week and a half. So I can't see anything other than just clouds in the sky. So I can't really comment on that myself. But yeah, will that change anything? Will that change anything in the contrail/chemtrail situation? Cornholio says, I would like to wake up tomorrow and see no more contrails. Rolf Jander says, the lower the oil price goes, the harder it is for tar sands to be viable. So that is good. Oil below $27. Yoo-hoo! Is that across the board? Hold on. I didn't look at the prices today. Ooh, yeah. Dang. Ouch. The WTI, which was at $31 yesterday, is down to $27. That is rough. Brent crude down to $30. Mars was at like 28 yesterday. It's down to 25. OPEC basket was around 32, 33, and they're down to 30. Lordy. Ooh, that is nasty. But, on some level for the climate changers of the world, that's actually something to cheer. Go ahead, fossil fuel industry collapse. Go for it. Fiesta, you're here. I'm actually getting ready to sign off. That seems to always happen. People jump on right at the very end. It's all good. Human says full body condoms. Okay. Raza Remen, martial law, isn't he Jude Law's brother? Rimshot. Human says, need me some barrels of oil. Now's a good time to buy you some oil. Black gold. George Sacloclide says, die fossil fuel industry, die. I agree. I mean, it can't be good for the rest of the economy, but who cares? Let them go. Let them go under. Let them go away. All right, guys, I'm going to sign off. There were actual news articles I missed on this live stream, but I will be back tonight for my evening live stream. Appreciate you guys jumping in on the chat with me. Appreciate your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. You know how to support the channel. Until next time, peace.